Okay, so today we are going to go over how to get banger results on a $300 to $500 a month budget. This is something that a lot of people really don't teach. I think it's because like so many people just have this misconception that advertising has to cost a fortune. And if we just think about advertising in a way that we think about organic content, right? Right before I hit record, I was just telling you guys, I don't see the difference between organic content and paid ads. To me, paid ads are just organic content with money on it, and organic content is just free advertising. That's the way that I think about it. And so anytime that I'm mentioning content, I just talk about content in general. And so I think if more people actually saw ads that way, everyone would have such an easier time getting results with ads. And honestly, and some of the things that we're going to talk about today, a lot of people think that, their ads aren't working because of the buttons that they're pushing in the ads manager. And I have seen time and time again that it really doesn't matter what buttons you push. Are there some better buttons to push than others? Yes, but at the end of the day, think about this, right? I really want you guys to change your mindset today about how we look at advertising. Think about this. A lot of people sell a shit ton of stuff with a single organic TikTok video, right? People make millions of dollars with organic TikTok videos. Are they pushing any special buttons to get that video in front of people? No. What is the reason that people find those TikTok videos that go viral and make a ton of money? It's the content. And at the end of the day, the content matters. As a matter of fact, I was watching a YouTube podcast the other day, and Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about how a lot of businesses come to him and they worry about stuff like, well, which Facebook profile should I use? Should I have 5 accounts set up for all of these different things? And he was making a really great point that yes, years ago it mattered where the content was coming from, but nowadays, it's all about the pieces of content. For example, if I go to a restaurant and I enjoy my food and I do something funny and that video goes viral, who's going to win? The restaurant is still going to win, even though it's on my account. And so these days, it's not necessarily about where the content is coming from, it's about that specific piece of content. And so if we can strategically, consistently deliver great pieces of content, we're going to win the game. Okay. So today we're going to talk about how to actually utilize low budget ads in order to get results with advertising. Now, before we get into the fun stuff, there's a couple of things that you guys have to realize. Okay. Traditional funnel math, it freaking sucks. Okay. Because here's the thing. If we think about the way that a funnel flows, right? We've all been taught industry standards. If we send people to a landing page, industry standards, 20% of people are going to opt in, right? If people are opting in to watch a webinar, only 40% of those people are actually going to hit play on that webinar. I saw someone in my newsfeed this morning. She said she had over 200 people register for a live event and a whopping 8 people showed up. So that is way, way low. So live webinar views are down, automated webinar views are down. It is just the same across so many different boards, okay? 10% of those people are going to finish, 8% of people apply, and then obviously you want to close 20 or 30% of those people once you get them on a sales call, right? So if we're paying $1,000, okay, and we're paying $2 per click, that's going to send 500 people into this funnel, right? And people are like, I've got $1,000 budget and I want to run a webinar funnel. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but you know that green smiley face at the end where you think you are going to make a bunch of money? Boom, look at the numbers. This is why traditional funnel math does not work out for most people. And if you're sitting in this room right now, it's likely that you only have a low budget that you could actually run with ads. And so when we actually look at the funnel numbers across, doesn't matter, right? They don't look very good. If you send 500 people to a landing page, 20%, there goes 500 people, 400 people out of the 500 already out the door. you're left with 100 people opting in. If only 40% are going to push play, we're looking at 40 people pushing play on that webinar. You spent $1,000 and only 40 people pressed play on that webinar, right? 10% are going to finish, but what happened? We don't have enough volume of people watching and finishing the webinar to apply. So now we've spent $1,000 to get 4 people to see our offer. That is why traditional funnel math does not make sense, okay? Because here's the thing. In order for us to sell, we need volume. And this doesn't matter whether you have a low ticket. By the way, guys, low ticket offers are even worse. Like, think about this. If you need volume, right? Because a lot of people are like, but Laurel, I have a high ticket offer at the end of my low ticket funnel. I'm like, yes, but can you afford to pay $70 or $80 per $27 sale? Because guys, that's the reality. You're probably going to pay 70, 80 bucks to get one $27 sale. And what do we need to happen for people to get to your high ticket offer? We need volume. And so the numbers are even worse whenever we're looking at a low ticket offer. And so the strategy that I'm going to outline today is going to help you get results. And this doesn't matter whether you own a restaurant, whether you own an e-commerce business. You know, a lot of people get wrapped up, well, what does it look like if I own this kind of business? If you literally hover over through the ecosystem in all of the different industries that I have inside the program, the ecosystem is exactly the same. The only reason that I have like a real estate section and a brick and mortar section, an e-commerce section, is because people get so like tied to, well, my business is different. At the end of the day, no one's business is different, because at the end of the day, this strategy is literally teaching you guys to put out a piece of content and then retarget the people who are engaging with that piece of content. That is essentially the easiest way that I can describe my ads ecosystem. Okay. So let's take a look at which funnel should you actually use, right? We just talked about how traditional funnel math just completely sucks, okay? So I like using this little triangle as the visual, okay? When you need a lot of volume and you need to validate an offer, what do you need? You need a ton of people to talk to, right? I always tell my students that conversations are the fastest path to cash, okay? So if you need clients, you need to have as many freaking conversations as possible, right? If you need to have as many conversations as possible, do you think that getting someone to buy a low ticket offer is the fastest path to cash? No, it's actually the slowest path to cash. If you need to have as many conversations as possible, do you need the friction of a landing page, a webinar, just to get someone at the end to talk to you? No, I just showed you guys the funnel math. $1,000 to get 4 people to see the offer and 0 booked calls. Like, that is not the fastest way to get people to talk to you, right? The fastest way to get to those conversations is at the 2 ranks at the bottom of this triangle. And so inside this $7 program, you're going to see that we do a strategy that I call a fast funnel. It's utilizing Reels videos and static image ads that give away a value bomb. We call those indirect offers because it's a free thing. And then we have something that we utilize called power offers that was coined by Joel Erway. These are the 2 best ways that I have found in order to generate enough conversations. But if you only have $300 or $500 a month to spend, you're going to want to live at the bottom, because here's the deal. A power offer ad going to an application, you're going to want to spend at least $10, $20 a day because it's a conversion ad. We're going to utilize a different strategy that's cheaper in order to push more conversations. That is pretty much the strategy if you are, you know, strapped for cash, which I'm assuming that most people here, they need clients and they need conversations. And so we're going to talk about not only the strategy, we're going to talk about how to actually optimize your content to get those conversations. And then we're going to talk about the Messenger framework in order to be able to close people straight in Messenger. Okay. So here's what the strategy looks like. How many of you guys grabbed my book on Amazon? Super duper profitable ads, right? You guys probably noticed that when you're reading the book, there's no funnels, there's no power offers, there's nothing like that. So what my book actually covers is phase 1 of the program, which is what we're looking at right now. So this is what phase 1 of my ecosystem looks like. And by the way, guys, even though my business has made over $3 million, guess which phase of the ecosystem I live in the most? Right here. Even to this day, this is the strategy. If you look in my ads manager right now, you will see that I have spent less than $150,000 in ads over the last several years. And I've made over 3 million. That is one hell of a return. Okay. So this is what the strategy actually looks like. Okay. So we're going to utilize Facebook and Instagram, which, by the way, you can do this on YouTube. I run this exact same strategy on YouTube. You can do it on TikTok. You can do it on LinkedIn. It does not matter. Any platform where you can put content and run ads, you can pretty much run this entire strategy. So we're going to utilize cold traffic, right? Because if you don't have traffic, we have to go and get it. Okay. So this is what the strategy looks like. We're going to use a single piece of power content because if we only have $300 to $500 a month to spend, we cannot have multiple pieces of content. We have to make it work. But I'm going to show you guys how to make this work on a low budget, even with testing. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to send cold traffic to one single piece of power content. And we're going to try to shoot for 500 people every single week to watch your video 25% or more of the time. Okay. Now, these need to be 3 to 5 minute videos. Okay. Now, conversion multipliers, I recommend the reels. Now, even though a conversion multiplier, and I'll go through the different types of conversion multipliers, even though a conversion multiplier can be a static image ad, I prefer that conversion multipliers be reels videos at the top of the funnel because we're going to be able to generate leads in 2 different ways, right? Power content's job is to build something that we call an invisible list. Okay. If you're stuck right now, go to the boot camp part of my program, watch the boot camp video, check out the new little textbook that I made you guys outlining the strategy. It will clear everything up. But all you need to know is that we're building an invisible list of people who are watching 25% of that video. We're also going to be able to build an invisible list off the people watching 95% of your Reels videos. Because remember, Reels videos are only 60 seconds long. So we want to make sure that our invisible list is about equal to how we're making the invisible list with power content. Okay. Now, the other thing that we're doing is we're generating leads, but we're generating leads in 2 different ways. One, through an invisible list, through people watching 25% or more of a power content video or more than 95% of the conversion multiplier. But the conversion multiplier's main job is to get people to comment and to have a messenger conversation. At the end of the day, that is what we want. So we're generating leads 2 different ways, one through the invisible list and one through the comments. Okay, so those are the 2 top of funnel strategies. And all we're going to do is the people who are watching 25% or more or 95% or more of the conversion multipliers, we're just going to funnel them into one audience that we call a warm stack. And we are going to utilize boosted posts. Okay, now I know a lot of experts say don't push that boost button, but here we're using it as a retargeting strategy because we only have $500 a month. So what does this math look like? Okay, so if you only have a $500 a month budget and your goal is to get 500 people to watch 25% or more of your power content video, we got to do a little bit of math, right? And so in order to get 500 25% views on a $5 a day budget, that leaves us having to get 6 to 7 cents for that 25% video view, right? Does that make sense to everybody? If we have $10 a day to spend on power content, we can spend as little as 14 cents. But this math has to work out with your budget. Like I've got clients who can afford to spend 50 cents per 25% view and they're fine with it because they have a bigger budget, okay? On the flip side of that, with our conversion multipliers, we want to get 14 comments a day. Now, keep in mind, comments do not automatically mean messenger conversations because we have to account for the 60%, and yes, 60% of people who will not respond to your message after they've commented for your value bomb. And so, but here's the key, guys. Here's the key. There are so many of you guys who are sitting in this room right now who don't need 100 messenger conversations in order to reach your goal. And so what I want to make absolutely clear is that you need to figure out what my mentor calls your minimum effective dose. Now, what does that mean? The reason that I aim for 100 messenger conversations every single week is solely based on volume, right? When we don't have data, we need volume and we need data. And so I'm looking at Daniel right now. Daniel, if Daniel has 100 messenger conversations a week and he's like, holy crap, like I only need like 30 because 10% of the people that I'm talking to are moving to a booked call, then that's his minimum effective dose. What is the minimum amount of messenger conversations do I need in order to book a phone call? Right? And so some of you guys might not need 100 messenger conversations a week. I will say this though, as I sit here with both of my programs, right? The $7 program is a closed program. We're at capacity. The Lean on Laurel program is closed at capacity. I still have these messenger conversations every single week because it's the bloodline of my entire business. And I always like to be able to identify who are my 10 warmest leads every single week. I ask myself, I write it on I'm not in my office right now, but on my whiteboard in my office, I always say, who are my 10 hottest leads and who are my 10 warmest leads? You need to know that every single week. Like if you don't know that, we need to work on it. Okay. So here's how the math needs to work out, right? So just to kind of sum up what we're doing, we need to hit 500 views of your videos at 25%. Now, here's the thing. I think Daniel, we had this conversation whenever you were in Lean on Laurel. I'm pretty sure that I was like, hey, you're getting 300 people added to a week. If you consistently run this, you're going to have several thousand in a couple of months. Again, minimum effective dose, right? And so do we try to strive for these two numbers? Absolutely. You know me, like I want to pay as little for ads as freaking possible. I am cheap. And so I will try to get, even though I have a bigger budget, I want my videos to hit this 6 to 7 cents because I run 2 tiers of power content. As a matter of fact, right now, because both of my programs are full, I'm literally running like 10 to 15 pieces of power content just for fun because I want to continuously build my invisible list, right? Because at any given time, I'm building that invisible list, it's delivering leads straight to my inbox. Like now I don't have to do these 2 steps because people are automatically in my messenger asking me questions already. But that's 6 years of doing this strategy. Can you guys believe like my business is already 6 years? It time has gone by so fast. So if you think that, oh man, this came so easy for Laurel, it didn't. It took a lot of work. But also give yourself some grace, right? You know, I had someone post in the $7 program and she was really like, she's like, I don't get this. She was really down on herself. You guys have to remember, I worked in television since 2002. I am 20 years ahead of you guys when it comes to copywriting and advertising. So give yourself some grace as you're learning this stuff. It's not going to come fast, right? Like you can't learn marketing overnight. And so the more that you guys can show up to these live sessions, stay for the Q&A and ask questions and use the Ask Laurel thread every single week. It's like it's pretty much like getting a PhD in marketing, this entire program. And so give yourself some grace. So right now, if you're like, oh my God, I'm already lost, it's okay, right? Inside the program, there's booklets and you can order my book on Amazon that's going to help. You have to figure this stuff out though, because if you're not figuring this stuff out, your competition is. I promise you. It's getting harder and harder to understand this stuff. But if we look at this, like this is the very minimum that you can do and you can still win. I have several of my students who graduated from Lean on Laurel who are running this $500 a month budget and are making upwards of $20,000, $25,000 a month with this. Okay. So give yourself some grace and give yourself some time. because it might take you doing 20 pieces of power content before you can hit this mark. It might take you 200 conversion multipliers to get the one that's going to get you those 14 conversations a day. It just takes time. And so I just want to preface the training with that. Like, it takes time. Some people, it can happen overnight. I had a Lean on Laurel student the other day who came in. He just had a freaking phenomenal offer. We launched a $5 conversion multiplier, and he had over 100 conversations overnight. And then I've got some people who it's taken 2 months to get the amount of conversations. It just takes time. But the way that we can move the process is we can increase our budget and get data faster, or we put out more pieces of content. Okay. So all we're going to do is we're going to create a warm stack of all of these people who are watching these videos. And then we're going to boost 3 pieces of our organic content every single week. And I like to do $5 at 3 days. You could do $10 for 3 days, but again, we have to do it in a way that's going to meet our budget, right? Because if we're running power content at $5 a day, that's one video, that's $150 a month. A conversion multiplier at $5 a day for a month, that's already $300 combined. And then if we're boosting $5 for 3 days for 3 pieces of content a week, that's going to add on to the budget. So just make sure that you're doing this strategy in a way that meets your budget. By the way, I have a student right now who is getting awesome results. And what he's actually doing is, because he only has like $300, he's literally splitting the budget between the power content and the conversion multiplier. And it's just crazy. You just have to figure out, does it take longer? The lower the budget, the longer it's going to take. But students get results with $300 to $500 of this strategy, especially if you've already been running content or you've ran some type of direct response ads before. But I'm going to show you guys exactly how to optimize each piece of content and all of that fun stuff. So let's go ahead and let's go into the mistakes that a lot of you guys are making, okay? Because I see a lot of this stuff when you guys are asking for help inside the Facebook group, and I'm like, oh man, that person just needs to optimize their stuff. So here's a couple of things. The number one reason, not being patient or consistent. I had a student in Lean on Laurel. He started the first week, and I don't know if he's on this call, so I'm not going to embarrass him, but it was cute. He ran the strategy for a couple of days. And he's like, Laurel, nothing's happening. Like, should I turn everything off? I'm like, no, dude, like, keep it running. And then now, 2 weeks later, still only 2 weeks later, he's booking several phone calls every single week running. So it's like, it's just about, like, you have to be patient and you have to be consistent. A lot of you guys who are sitting in this room right now, if you were just consistent the first time that you ran an ad, you would be in a better position than you are right now, because people start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. And that's one of the best ways to lose money with ads. And in my opinion, that's the only way to lose money with advertising, because if you run ads long enough, it's going to work. That's just how advertising is, unless you have a shitty product, right? So, second mistake is they present themselves poorly online. I have a student who is no longer in the Lean on Laurel program, but here's the thing. If you present yourself poorly online, he had a really great offer for a long time. It would convert so freaking well. And then the idiot got really political on his profile and in his social media posts. And guess what happened? He lost a lot of customers and he just acted like an asshole. Don't be an asshole. Like, don't present yourself online poorly. You can have the best offer in the world, but if you present yourself poorly online, or if you talk shit, I see that a lot of times, coaches talking shit about other coaches publicly, and just like, just don't present yourself poorly online. Be positive, be awesome, right? That's my best advice, is be awesome when you're online. Here's another one. They don't know what problem they solve. I ask this a lot in Messenger. Whenever someone messages me and they say, hey, Laurel, my content's is not working. Can you take a look at it? I was like, before I take a look at your content, I was like, can you just answer the question, what problem do you solve? 9 times out of 10, people answer that question with, I help coaches and consultants do XYZ. I'm like, that is not the problem you solve. That is what you do. And so we need to be able to answer, what is the problem that you solve. If you look at me, the problem that I solve is that people are spending a shit ton of money on ads and they're barely breaking even. And every time they lift their budget, they get diminishing returns. That is the main problem that I solve. You have to be able to just like be able to just say, like, I solve the problem of blank, right? I help people do XYZ is not the problem you solve. That is what you do. And if you learn how to create videos that are solving actual problems, not just telling people what you do and how you can do it for them, but really, really solving their problems, you're going to see a different way that people are actually going to engage with your content. Now, this one's going to be triggering for some of you guys because I know imposter syndrome is a real thing, but some people just don't know squat about their audience. And they don't know squat about being an expert in what they're trying to sell themselves as, right? It's show for knowledge. Like if you guys aren't familiar, my mentor tells this amazing story. I think I forget who coined this term, like it's in a book, but like, there was this a Nobel Prize winning physicist who was going around the country and giving these amazing talks. And after dozens and dozens of times, his chauffeur was like, "Hey, I've heard your speech so many times that I bet you I can deliver it just as good as you." And so the guy named Plank, he was like, "Sure." He's like, "Let's switch roles at the next stop." And sure enough, the chauffeur got on stage and delivered that speech. Awesome. He even had a standing ovation. Then, when people started asking him questions, he was like, "Well, I'm going to have to defer to my chauffeur to give you the answer." And so there's a lot of people on social media right now that are just copying other people's content, but they don't know diddly squat about how to actually deliver. Why does this matter? Why are we talking about this right now? Well, it's because so many of you guys right now are struggling not because you're not an expert, but because one of your competitors pretended to be an expert and now your audience doesn't trust shit, honestly. And so we have to figure out a way to show off that we actually know our stuff. And so this is why a lot of how-to videos don't cut it anymore, because too many people, I can put a YouTube video out right now. Some punk overseas can go and do the exact same video word for word and probably deliver my content better than I can. But what that person can't do is get on a Zoom call and create a strategy for all of you guys who are sitting in the room right now. Like if I just shut down this presentation and I just went back, I could literally in my head, knowing very limited information, build all of you guys a successful ad strategy. We have to be able to put ourselves in situations to where our content showcases exactly that. Here's the thing. Everyone knows that stuff works, right? Everyone knows that Facebook ads work, right? Like everyone knows that Facebook ads work for some people. As a matter of fact, Facebook ads work for everyone. As a matter of fact, if you've launched a Facebook ad and it showed up in the newsfeed, it worked. That's all Facebook ads are. Like it's a button that puts your content in front of the newsfeed. Now, maybe the content didn't work, but Facebook ads did work. Okay. So we have to reevaluate, are we showcasing our best stuff? How can we prove to our audience that this time will be different? Because I guarantee you, Daniel's a fitness expert. He works with a lot of great clients, but I guarantee you, one of his clients right now is like, "That'll never work, Daniel, because I've already tried it. I've already paid someone $3,000 for that exact same thing. What makes you any different? What is going to be different about this time?" And if we can prove in our content that this time will be different, that's when we've got them. And every single person here needs to figure out, how would you answer that to a lead? Like if someone was in Messenger right now and they ask you that question, what makes this time different? How is it going to be different? That's the secret right now to making all of this work. And then lastly, a lot of you guys are launching content and it is not optimized. Like there's no banners on it. The captions are like being covered by the Instagram graphics and no one knows what the video is about or anything. You're not putting your headline, promise of value in the copy. We're going to go over all of that here on this training because I want to make sure that when you guys leave here today, I want you guys to go fix stuff that's wrong with your content. Okay. So first things first though. Okay. This is one of my favorite exercises that I've been doing at my events. And this was an exercise that at my last event, all of my students, I heard them at the same time. Like everyone had the same light bulb. So if you have been doing my ecosystem and you are finding yourself that, Laurel, I'm having conversations with people, but these are not my people. This is the exercise that you need to do right now. Okay. So basically, it's the triangle exercise. You guys have probably noticed that I love drawing triangles. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to draw a triangle and we're going to write a floor and we're going to draw a line and then a ceiling. Your audience pocket has a floor and it has a ceiling. Okay. So let's just say that I am targeting Russell Brunson's audience. Okay. Because I do ads. If people are following Russell Brunson, they probably have a funnel or they want to build a funnel, right? But which of those do I actually want? Where's my floor? What is the minimum requirement that someone has to have in order for me to consider them an ideal lead? This is the secret to having amazing power content and amazing conversion multipliers. Because right now, a lot of you guys are putting out content that is trying to target that entire pocket of people. Okay. If you're having conversations with people who are unqualified, it's because you're not doing this. And so for me personally, if I was marketing for Lean on Laurel, the floor, the minimum requirement that it takes to get into Lean on Laurel is you already have to be running ads and you have to have a validated offer. Everyone else is below the floor, and that's what the $7 program is for. My ceiling, which is my most ideal type of client, are the people who are already running some type of VSL funnel and they're getting at least 2 times their return on ad spend. Why is that my most ideal client? Because if I teach them what I'm teaching you guys right here, they will instantly see a ROAS. I had a new student 2 weeks ago. His name is Daryl. We literally did just part of what I'm showing you guys today. Up until this point, Daryl has only spent like about $1,000 and has over $30,000 in revenue. Freaking crazy. Why? Because Daryl was already spending tens of thousands of dollars on a direct response funnel. All I did was show him how to use this content that we're talking about today to plug that funnel. And so that's why those are my most ideal clients, because if they come into my program and they're already running a direct response funnel, they are making a shit ton of money and they're making it super fast. If someone comes in and they've barely validated an offer, we've got some work to do. But it's just work. It's normal, right? And so, and by the way, guys, the only way to figure this stuff out is just it takes longevity. If you asked what my ideal client was 4 years ago when I first launched Lean on Laurel, it was very different. This is just something at getting really good at what you do. You're able to raise the floor on that audience more and more. So yeah, so Katie just says I spend about 800 a month and make 20,000 a month. Congratulations, Katie. That is freaking phenomenal. I love that. Yeah, like you don't have to spend a lot. You just have to be able to know how to strategically use the budget that you have. Okay. Does everyone understand this triangle? Like everyone understand that they have a floor and then they have a ceiling. I'll give you guys another real life example. One of my students in LOL, he works with SaaS business owners. And one of the things that he was complaining about was he says, Laurel, oh my God, he's like, if I get another person who says they're a SaaS business owner and all they did was build on top of Go High Level, I'm gonna freaking bang my head against the wall. Like, so I was like, well, let's take a look at your content. And so the way that he was actually doing his content, I'm like, dude, the way that you're writing the content makes it sound like you're trying to attract those people. I was like, what are some of the problems that only SaaS business owners who have sold hundreds in software, what problems would they specifically have? And so I was like, well, what is your minimum? Like, how much are they making? He's like, well, they've at least made $1 million. I'm like, cool, that's the floor. They have to at least be making $1 million in their SaaS business. That's the floor. And then everything else is where we're going to create content. And so we actually have to have that we have to know where our audience is. Otherwise, we can't create content that's specifically for them. Okay. So we have to know our floor and we have to know our ceiling. I'll give you another example. So I have a fitness client. As a matter of fact, fitness is one of my favorite niches. Probably half the students in Lean on Laurel are fitness now. Maybe it's because that's who I started targeting with my content. But she was having issues with the same thing. She's like, I'm kind of talking to people who are not who are unqualified. And I was like, well, who are you trying to attract? And she was like, well, I really want to attract more corporate women because they get shit done. And I was like, well, we're going to have to fix all of your content to where it's only going to talk to corporate women. What is it about your structure that works really great for corporate women? What are they doing in weight loss that's actually sabotaging their results because they work in corporate? And so we started creating content based on that. And I'm not saying using call outs. We're not just calling out, hey, corporate women, are you trying to, that doesn't work. People just kind of like glance over those call outs. One of the things though that we did do was we said how 60% of women who work in corporate sabotage their weight loss because of the way they're working out after work. Do you see the difference in calling out, hey, corporate women trying to lose weight? No, we're like 60% of women who work in corporate are sabotaging results based on their after work workout. Wouldn't you, like, if you were a corporate woman, that would probably make you stop the scroll. And it talks directly to that ideal client. Okay. So those are just a couple of real world examples. Here's another thing. Okay. Whenever you are launching your power content, which are the Goodwill video ads for those of you guys who are new, we need to make sure that we're utilizing the power content framework. Okay. The 3 lines that we're going to use for our copy are the headline, promise of value, and the CTA. Now, this also goes inside the video script. I think this is where a lot of people get confused. For your video script, the framework is headline, promise of value, CTA for the value bomb, humble brag, repeat promise of value, then you do your meat and potatoes, the actual content, and then you repeat the CTA for the value bomb. That's the framework for power content. If you go look at the power content SOP that I created for you guys, that's all there. I'm not going to go into too in depth here. But when you're launching your power content, we need to make sure that the headline, promise of value, and the CTA is there. Why do we want that CTA there? Because some people are just going to read the copy and they're going to be like, I want that ad script and that 5-minute step-by-step. They won't watch the video, but who gives a shit? They just commented, gave my video social proof, and I've earned myself a conversation with someone who's an ideal client. Why are they an ideal client? Do you guys see how strong this call out is? Webinars stop converting. I didn't say ads stop converting, did I? Because if I said ads stop converting, I would probably be attracting a whole bunch of people who aren't my ideal client. So I'm being strong in my call out. And notice, I'm not saying attention, coaches and consultants making more than $20,000 a month, right? But if people are running webinars, they're likely making more than $20,000 a month. And that's why we need to know our ideal clients. We need to know their problems. We need to know where they are so that we could write copy that's going to call them out without, quote, calling them out. Right? An ad like this is going to attract people who are already running webinars. And if you're already running webinars, you're already probably doing well in your business. So webinar stop converting. Here's how I used a $5 ad to revive a dead webinar funnel for my client. Want the ad script plus the 5-minute step-by-step? Drop a line below. Very, very simple. So remember, your headline is going to be your first line of defense. It needs to repel all of your non-ideals, right? Make note that I called out people who have webinars, not just everyone running ads. It's funny, a couple of years ago, when I first started working with my mentor, Nick Peterson, this is one of the first things that he fixed with my content. And he's like, stop telling people you're going to help them launch their ads. He's like, tell people you're going to help them fix their ads. Ah, that's very different, isn't it? I'm going to help you launch your ads. I'm going to help you fix your ads. 2 very different types of people. Okay. So think about that. Remember, who's our floor and who's our ceiling. Okay. So make sure that every single piece of power content that you launch has these elements. Now, what else? Okay. So power content. We just went over headline, promise of value, CTA, right? Here's another way that you can optimize this same video, just kind of different style. Okay. I always screenshot my videos in the most ridiculous way, and I love it. But check this out. Webinar stopped working. This $5 ad revives dead webinar funnels, and then it's got captions. So if you do either one of these, you're going to be optimized to be able to, one, get more video views, and two, get more comments on your power content. Now remember, power content's job is not to actually give away the value bomb. You can, but the main job of power content is to build an invisible list. And if you're confused about these terminologies, go inside the program underneath the Get Ready protocol. There is a glossary that I actually made that will identify all of these terms and actual examples. So if you're lost right now, just go to the Get Ready protocol after this training and grab the glossary and then grab that book. It's going to walk you guys through all of this because I know you guys can get lost in in the terminology. So I made it super, super easy for you guys. So this is how we would optimize our power content. Now, these are all of the types of the value bomb ads, okay? A value bomb is simply just a freebie. The reason that I don't call it a lead magnet is because when people think lead magnets, they think landing pages and opt-ins and all of that fun stuff. I call it value bombs because we go straight into Messenger and we just give them all this value, right? So these are the ways that we actually can do in our newsfeed. There's different types, right? So there's an image one. You guys probably seen these. They're the colored ones where they're just like a $5 ad booked over 47 calls for a new student's high ticket offer this week. Want the script and Loom video and setting it up. It's a newsfeed. The second type is I literally took a screenshot of one of the workshops I did with you guys a couple of weeks ago. And I just wrote a little post. I said, students told me this was one of the best trainings on content that I've ever done. I showed them my entire content creation and distribution flow, plus helped fix 3 of their major problems a lot of business owners are making when it comes to content creation. And then I just wrote on the image, want to see it. Check this out, 269 comments. This is a value bomb ad, right? And then of course the one over here is basically just a little graphic that I like. This is the stuff I do for my Lean on Laurel students. I had a Lean on Laurel student who doesn't know how to do graphics or anything. I was like, just send me the video and I'll make it for you. And bada bing, bada boom. That's what happens. But that did really well. Here's some more story value bomb ads. Basically just here's a screenshot. Here's a Reels video, or it's a story, not a Reels. And then another screenshot, comment DCA and I'll show you how. Again, just very simple. Now, here's the thing. Here's where a lot of you guys are going wrong in your Reels videos is notice, okay? There's 2 different versions here, and I recommend you test both, okay? Reels go by really fast, right? If someone sees your reel in the news feed and they click play, it goes really fast. We want these 2 hook banners, I call them hook banners at the top. We want them to stay up the entire video. Because if they finally grab their their place and they're like watching the video and that banner's disappeared, they already forgot why they were watching the video. And so they bounce. But if we have a hook banner at the top, right? Like want my 7-figure Reels swipe file. I'm probably watching that video and being like, what the hell is this swipe file, right? Plus I'm going to comment for it. So we want to make sure, and I would test both. Like I would probably test a hook for this video, and then I would test the CTA for the value bomb as the hook. But both ways are going to get you more comments. So you can try it with the video hook, use this tactic to make your ads fail-proof in 2024, or you can utilize this hook banner for my 7-figure swipe file. Next mistake I see, if you look at the captions below, make sure that your captions aren't at the very bottom of the video because both Facebook and Instagram have Reels graphics that are covering most of your captions. So when you're shooting videos, make sure that you're shooting them with a little bit of headroom and that you're shooting them to where your captions can go about chest level. That'll make it optimized so that when people are actually watching, they know what they're watching because they're seeing the hook banner. And they can actually read the captions because most people do watch Reels with the sound off, okay? And then what the fuck is a power post? Oh, I forgot to tell you guys I curse sometimes for those of you guys who are new, so my apologies. But this is actually one of the things that a lot of people don't realize I do, even though, and yes, we are, Mandy's like, is anyone drinking? Yes. So what is a power post, right? Because if we go back to what we were just actually on, right? Let's see. We go back up here, right? We have power posts as one of these options, okay? Here's what a power post is. I freaking love them. And by the way, if you go into the library version of the $7 program, if you just go to the library section, I created an entire library of all of these successful posts that I've done over the last several years, along with a swipe file. But this is essentially a power post. And guess what? All I did was I went into ChatGPT and I told it to transcribe this power content video that I already had on YouTube. And I just created I call it a power post. And by the way, this one like just had like a soft CTA, want me to tag team your ads and funnel with you. I'll be doing my last enrollment and Lean on Laurel soon. I got 11 applications from this one power post. And you could see 70, got 74 comments and 3 shares. And I actually got a Lean on Laurel student from the lovely Angie Jordan who shared this post, and someone who had never heard of me immediately just bought like Lean on Laurel. But that happens all the time. People just buy. Like right now, as a matter of fact, I literally showed my wife a messenger conversation yesterday. And by the way, I am going to do this because I told her, I said, I really need to screenshot this guy's messenger conversation with me. Obviously, I'm going to hide who he is so that I'm not calling him out. He's not a client yet, but he did apply. Yesterday he just showed up in my messenger, and it ended up in the messenger. Does anyone know that you guys have a spam folder on Messenger? I keep forgetting that damn thing is there. And you know how many freaking leads are in that folder? Well, yesterday I decided to check it, right? Oh, Jade came from Angie. See, I need to send Angie a bottle of nice wine because she sends a lot of people here. And by the way, if you haven't done a VIP, if you have a podcast and you haven't done a VIP with Angie, I'm going to give Angie Jordan a shout out right now because I did a VIP day with her because we lived very close. At the time she was still in Louisiana, and it was awesome. It was the most fun I ever had planning my podcast episodes. But anyway, I have a guy in Messenger that I've been talking to pretty much all day yesterday. And because Lean on Laurel's full, I'm not selling, like I don't have anything to sell anyone, right? But still, I'm still doing the Messenger conversations. And he's a fitness guy. And what did I tell you guys? I lately I've just been attracting a lot of fitness people, and I freaking love it. And I was like just basically answering his questions. And he was like, I'm gonna bleep out whoever's program he just came in. He came from Popular Big Box Coaching. You guys could probably figure it out. Big, known for sales. And he's like, their short funnel strategy, he's like, it kind of works, but he's like, I'm spending like $30,000 and I'm making $30,000. And so he's like, I'm like breaking even. And so I was like, I was drinking coffee, watching the morning news, and I was like, whatever, I'll have a conversation. And so I just started asking him questions about, his numbers. And I was like, oh, well, if you did this, this, and this, and I literally gave him that textbook that I made for you guys. Just gave him the textbook, gave him the boot camp, and was like, hey, here's everything that you need in order to go and like execute this yourself. Like literally talked to him for probably 20 minutes, gave him he gave me his numbers, and I was like, oh, just fix this, this, and this. And he launched one thing, and then he came back and he's like, how do I work with you? You've never sold me. And I was like, well, actually my program's full. He's like, how do I get on the wait list? Like, he's like, I literally am going through this book. And he's like, you literally gave me everything. And he's like, you never pitched me on a phone call. You never, like, he's like, you just gave stuff to me. And he's like, I found it a little uncomfortable. He's like, I felt like I was stealing from you. And he was like, it was just very refreshing. And so now he's going to have the next spot in Lean on Laurel. And I tell you guys this story because this is what happens whenever you literally just keep putting out really good content. I had never talked to him before. He had just found my content, and he was just like scrolling through all of my stuff, and then decided to randomly send me a message because he saw one of my power posts. And so this stuff works. And I just can't reiterate like how well this stuff works. Again, you have to be really good, and it takes a lot of practice. Like when I first started, I sucked. I'm not a salesperson. I still to this day don't consider myself a salesperson. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be doing Dan Henry's challenge because I help him with stuff. And so he's like, why don't you just come to my challenge for his epic pitch challenge? Because I suck at pitching. I can't like, for the life of me, I'm just not good at it. That's why this strategy is authentic to me because I'm not comfortable asking people for the sale. And so if you have that same, like, I'm a coach. I want to help people and you don't feel comfortable with sales, then this is going to be great for you. This strategy is going to work out great because it's a longer marketing process and people just come and ask you, hey, how can I work with you? That's the way that I like doing business. So hopefully this is, this is helpful stuff for you guys. Let's go back. Okay, let's talk about these messenger conversations. I kind of just pre-framed it, right? What happens in messenger, but you really have to get good at this part, okay? And we're gonna workshop here in a little bit because I think this is the last thing that I'm going to teach you guys today. But let's talk about the messenger conversations, okay? The first thing, okay, you have to be able to take someone from clarity all the way to trust. I'm actually going to tell you guys a little anecdotal story. It's one of my favorites. My wife and I just started rewatching How I Met Your Mother. I worked for CBS. So when I worked for CBS, I never got to see any of the shows. It's funny, we went through Two and a Half Men, Big Bang Theory, How I Met Your Mother, because I was always working. I could never actually watch the shows. And so in an episode of How I Met Your Mother, Barney, who's like this crazy sex fiend or whatever, drags Ted, who's this lovesick puppy, constantly looking for the love of his life. Barney has this scheme to go to this love doctor and have this love doctor hook him up with the love of his life when really he just wants to go have sex, right? And so he drags Ted off to this love doctor, and the love doctor immediately tells Barney to get the F out. Like, she's like, get out. I know your type and you're not here to meet anything. And Ted proceeds to follow Barney out the door. And she's like, you sit. And he's like, oh no. He's like, this is like just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. He's like, I don't believe in this. He's like, I'm just here with, no, he's like, I can find the love of my life. He's like, there are 8 million people in the city of New York. And so she grabs her little pad and she's like, actually, there's 8 million people in New York City, but half of them are men. Are you gay? And he's like, no. So she's like, well, now we're down to 4 million. He's like, and she's like, well, if we take those 4 million people and take away the people who are married, that only leaves you with X amount of women. And then if you take out the lesbians, that leaves you with X amount of women. And she just keeps doing the numbers on her little pad. And by the time she's done, she's like, well, there are 8 women in New York that could potentially be the love of your life. And Ted pulls out his credit card and he's like, when can we start? That is an example of literally taking someone from not having clarity to literally trusting. Okay. That is what we want to do with our content and our messenger conversations. But here's the thing. A lot of you guys just aren't clear on the problem that you solve. And this is one of those things that's going to help you have better conversations with people who are your ideal client. And so it all starts with a phantom bomb. Now, there's one of those crazy terminologies, okay? Actually, Dan Henry told me to call it this because he's like, Laurel, he's like, why create the value bomb if no one asks for it? And I'm like, that's freaking dope and smart. So he calls it a phantom bomb. He's like, just tell your students to theoretically put out a value bomb. Don't create it because at the end of the day, you probably won't have to create it anyway. It's just creating work. If no one asks for it, you don't have to create it. And most of the time, right, you're not giving them the value bomb that they asked for because once you do the diagnostic, you're like, that's not the thing that's actually going to help them, right? So you can literally put out a whole bunch of phantom bombs just to actually test to see. And by the way, this is what I do now. Like if no one asks for it, I'm like, I'm not going to create it. But now I have like a catalog of like freaking 60 value bombs just sitting in my Loom account alone and in my Google Docs. But you have to have a phantom bomb that solves a problem. If you can call out the problem, that gives people clarity on what you do and what problem you solve, right? I find that going smaller the problem, the better, right? You're not going to help someone solve the problem of them not having a $10,000 a month business with a single piece of content. No, right? But there's probably a whole bunch of micro problems that are causing a coach to not have a $10,000 a year business, right? I mean, $10,000 a month business. They probably can't close sales calls. They probably can't close messenger conversations. They probably can't create content. They probably, you see how like, but a lot of you guys are putting out content to where it's so broad. But if you do a video, right? One of my Lean on Laurel students, I just helped her craft a video yesterday where she literally just gives away her DM script. How she teaches call setters to actually close calls in the DM. I was like, that's freaking good. That solves a very specific problem. And so that's the value bomb, right? So here's what we want to do. As we're thinking about, now y'all take notes on this. This is really going to be good, okay? The way that you want to think about this is you want to think about it as a funnel, right? That's why I drew it like this. It all has to work together because a lot of times people are throwing out the value bombs, but they don't know how the hell they're going to have a conversation, right? And so they get stuck on the conversation because they haven't thought about this through. As a matter of fact, one of my Rockstar Lean on Laurel students who this strategy is working exceptionally for, there's Daryl right there. He's just with his hands up. He's literally experiencing this right now with my strategy in Lean on Laurel. Daryl, tell everyone how much you've spent on ads right now. I love this. I love when my students actually pop up. He might have walked away, but on ads, $160. And what's the magic number on how I said $1,000? I'm way off. You spent 160. How much cash like revenue? Like that's freaking crazy. When he sent me this, those yeah, the retargeting ads, $160. I'm like smiling. 65K. See, I undersold. What did I tell you guys? You spent $1,000 in revenue, 30,000 in revenue. I like literally undershot that, right? But it's all this retargeting, guys. Like it's insane. But again, Daryl came to me already having traffic, and so sorry, I didn't mean to derail you or put you on the spot, Daryl, but thank you. So basically, you just want to create a value bomb. But you want to be able to map out what are the questions that I need to ask this person that's going to allow me to diagnose the problem. Okay. So for example, I'll use Daniel as an example. I hope Daniel doesn't mind. I keep picking on him. Let's say he has that as the phantom bomb, right? Sorry, my screen froze. Okay, cool. Am I back? Okay, cool. So let's just say Daniel puts out a guide. My clients actually lose weight for the holidays using this guide, right? Daniel needs to know what questions that he needs from this person to be able to take this person from clarity to certainty to trust. Okay. Now, if people ask him for that value bomb, and let's just say, right, that this person is doing the keto diet, right? And so Daniel would probably be like, hey, I've got a couple of different versions of the holiday guide, depending on what type of diet you prefer. And he's really not asking like to give them the right value bomb. He's really doing a diagnostic of trying to figure out why is this person having a problem losing weight. That's the key with these value bombs is we want to do a diagnostic, okay? So if he knows the exact questions to ask, here's the key to having these conversations. If Daniel figures out that this person is doing the keto diet and he's like, hey, if you can just give me these 5 numbers, I'll send you a video back telling you exactly what you should eat this holiday season in order to get the results that you're looking for, right? And so he gets back those 5 numbers. Daniel should be able to, from those 5 numbers, figure out that, hey, this person is going wrong in their macros or something, right? There's going to be something that Daniel's going to see. And if he shoots a Loom video going over those numbers and be like, hey, I'm noticing that your macros is this. It really should be this. I actually have something that could possibly get you and reset your metabolism. Would it be worth a quick 15-minute call? And I'll literally ask you a couple of more questions, and I'll probably be able to help you lose an additional 5 pounds before December. Would it be worth 15 minutes of your time? You see how but you have to be able to strategically figure out what that problem is. Guys, stop worrying about Daryl's stuff. It's not important. Remember, you guys are breaking the number one rule. Someone else's data is not going to be your data. Just follow the program. Honestly, Daryl is not doing anything that I haven't taught you guys. So stop. Like, if y'all just follow the program, literally you'll get results like Daryl if you just be consistent about it. Poor Daryl. I'm sorry, Daryl. That's my fault. Poor Daryl's just trying to do his work. You're probably gonna have a whole bunch of messenger conversations, Daryl, after this call. But we want to be able to figure out, like, what are the questions that we need to ask in order to get to the root problem of this person. Then we need to be able to, on our feet, shoot them a Loom video or somehow give them certainty. If we go back, when you're having that messenger conversation, think about the story of How I Met Your Mother and how quickly that love doctor was able to give Ted certainty by rattling off numbers. Numbers is one of the best ways to be able to give someone certainty that things are going to happen. One of the things that I do, like yesterday in the messenger conversation that I had with that guy, the first thing I asked him was for his funnel numbers. Because if I know your funnel numbers, I immediately spot that black hole that's going to be able to fix it. And then I'm able to shoot them a Loom video and say, hey, if you just fixed this, this, and this, here's an ad, go try it, right? And they're able to, I don't know why it's drawing on this thing. I think Daryl's drawing on my thing for some reason. It keeps saying Daryl's drawing on it. But if you I'm sorry, I just had a brain fart. But if I'm able to look at some numbers and just shoot a Loom video and be like, hey, if you just plug the hole here with this script, go try it. And even if I would say, hey, would it be worth a 15-minute call? I'll do your entire ad strategy and show you what it'll look like. Who would turn me down on that? Because I've already given them certainty that I know what I'm talking about. Because I gave them the Loom video that walked them through the biggest black hole in their strategy, and I gave them an ad to go and plug and play. And if they come back to me, hey, would it be worth a 15-minute call? I'll literally just show you what your entire strategy would look like. So that's the way that I use this entire strategy, but you guys can actually see through every single little tactic. Let me exit this. There we go. So I want to make sure we're done. Okay, cool. But every single one of these is simple, right? So if we go back to what the strategy outline actually looks like, here, this is a video view campaign. This is an engagement campaign. Now you can do this 2 different ways, and I have it 2 ways in the program. If you follow that little guide I gave you guys, you can ask for comments or you can go directly to Messenger. I have the both setups in both ways in that SOP that I gave you guys. And then these are just boosted pieces of content, which, by the way, you guys were asking about Daryl's Hot 7. The Hot 7 are just the most successful boosted posts. That's all the Hot 7 is. And that's why I teach you guys this framework in phase 1, because if you have 90 days of data, you know which posts convert. Just move them into an evergreen retargeting sequence. That's all the Hot 7 is an evergreen retargeting sequence. So that's essentially the strategy. Power content to drive invisible leads, conversion multipliers to drive physical leads in Messenger, and then we're just retargeting people with our organic content. Make sense? So Wendy just says, I get confused on the CTA for the boosted posts. Doesn't matter. It's retargeting. Pitch them whatever you want. You can do a value bomb. You can pitch them to a phone call. You can pitch them to whatever you want because they're warm now. Does that make sense? Let's see. Mike says, can these questions we need to ask to get to the root of the problem of this person to be open-ended questions? This is a really great. I try never to give them open-ended questions. I try to guide them in their answers as much as possible because sometimes when we ask open-ended questions, the reader on the other side feels stupid because they don't know how to answer them. And so they just ghost you. So I like to drive the conversation as much as possible. I just saw the entire 2 rows when I just said that. Everyone went, Jade, Tad, Mandy, it was funny. All of y'all, like in a wave, went. But yeah, so I like to never use open-ended because sometimes people don't know how to answer. And so they just ghost you. So what I'm going to do is I am going to allow you guys to unmute yourselves. And if anyone has any questions, we've got 20 minutes where I can answer questions about, let's just keep the questions on what we talked about today and not some random other strategy inside the program so that everyone can get value out of the resource and the context that we're doing here. Daniel, I saw you throw your hand up first, so I'm going to go to Daniel and then Manuel, I gotcha.
Hi, good to see you. My question is, when you're running power content ads to top of funnel, I feel like for example the gap power content video is probably more it costs more money to it just costs more money compared to other power content ads. Uh, should I keep on trying to finding ways to optimize that gap video? And is it
Are you
still?
doing local? Are you doing local ads?
Yeah, I'm doing local, but those local ads go out everywhere else too, so it doesn't really matter. Am
Yeah,
I,
so if you're doing for your local ads, I wouldn't worry about it. Like if you're running brick and mortar gyms or a fitness program locally, I wouldn't worry too much about the cost per 25% view because it's local. You're only going to reach a certain amount of people. And so I don't really, for brick and mortar, honestly, anyone else who's brick and mortar, I don't even look at KPIs much for brick and mortar. I just let the ads run and do their thing.
and there's no weekly goal for 500 new members, whatever it is for warm
No,
audience.
because when it's local, there's only a certain amount of people in the audience. I just go for are the right people seeing my ads, and that's it.
All right, cool,
And
thank you.
sometimes I don't even care about that. Like, because when it's local, it's just so easy, especially if you have a $500 budget. It is so easy to run dollar a day ads and reach every single person within that audience pocket.
Dollar a day ads for top of funnel or middle funnel.
Even top of funnel. Because when you're talking about a small, like let's say you have a gym, right? Demographic for gyms usually 5 mile radius. $1 a day goes a really long way with a 5 mile radius.
Got it, got it.
Yeah, like whenever I ran, I did a local chamber event in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I just ran that ad for $2 a day to the Biloxi DMA. And it reached, I was looking at the frequency and it reached like everyone like 2 or 3 times in a DMA that has like 150,000 people.
So would it be smart for me to write a power content ad for a local area where I talk about one problem instead of doing the gap video?
You could like what like so for instance, I'll actually give you a really great example. So one of my clients lives in Gulfport on the other side of Biloxi, Mississippi, and we have a lot of fried food in the South. And so I actually had him do his videos like talking about that. Like, hey, I get it, ladies. We have some of the best food here in Gulfport, Mississippi, and it is hard to stay on track with your diet, Excellent, but I have put together the best of the best of the food here in Gulfport, Mississippi that will not wreck your diet and it will leave you satisfied so that you can enjoy all of the amazing Gulf Coast seafood that we have here. It was something like that, but I was like, literally, just go do a whole bunch of those videos. And it really helps whenever you call out people locally because people are like, he's local. I want to work with him. He's local. Because a lot of people are like, especially with fitness, a lot of people have tried the online fitness stuff and some people are just burnt out on it and they're like, I just want to work with someone local.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Manuel.
Um, hey, Laurel.
Hey,
Uh,
nice to see you.
yeah, it's good to see you. So I have a question. I have 3 power content videos uh, posted already.
Mhm.
I was reviewing them last week because I shot another 3, and I cringe when I look back at them. To be honest, I know I gotta put in the reps.
I cringe at all of my videos if it makes you feel any better every time, and I can't get away from myself online.
Okay, yeah,
I am
that's a little
everywhere.
bit. Now, the question is, I want to start like, running ads this week, like to test and see like which one gets me the lowest cost for 25% views. Should I just start like close my eyes and let them go even if even if I think they're cringy, or should I like I don't want to be a perfectionist, but I don't want
Is
to
it
like
getting the result? Is it getting the results that you want?
well, so far, I mean, I just posted 3 on my
I will let you guys in on a little secret. It's always the ugliest ads that do the best.
okay.
Like there's one ad, I see it, and I was like 30 pounds like heavier, and every time I see that ad, I'm like, oh my God, but it does so good. I'm like, man, I just want to turn this shit off, but it does so well. And so that we all have those ads, and honestly, the ugliest ads and the ones that we think are gonna do the best are like they bomb. All the ads that I think are like, this is gonna crush, it always does so bad.
Okay, I'm just gonna run them then. And
Yeah, do it.
okay, wish me luck. Thank
Yep,
you.
I will. Yeah, Jade said, I just realized the reason I haven't started is because I'm afraid I'll look or sound dumb. The videos in bomb or turn off my potential, have everything I need otherwise. So thank you for this. Yeah, just freaking do it. Like, think about this. Actually, Nick said this on our mastermind call yesterday, my mentor, and he always has these like really profound things. And I'm like, wow, that was really deep. But he was saying something like, if you're scared that you're gonna look stupid today, he's like, anytime that you're scared of something, like let's say you're scared of putting out a video because it's controversial, he's like, the pain is only gonna be last for probably a day or two. He's like, ask yourself the question, if what would I rather, how did he say that? What would I rather be? Um, am I more afraid to look in 2 years and regret that I didn't do this today? Or is it more scary for me to do this today and get some bad comments? Which is more scarier, staying in a job that you hate for 2 years because you didn't do the thing that was only going to cause you pain for 2 days? Yeah. Curran, thank you. Curran was on that call yesterday. Fear of the short term versus fear of the long run. Yep. I love that, right? Like that was so profound. I'm like, you're right. Like how many times do we like think about, should I post this video? Because of all the comments. But then it's something that's gonna like in the long run not even matter because you were just so scared to start. And so 2 years go by and you keep being afraid to push that video, and it's like 2 years later you're freaking phenomenal at doing video ads and you're making millions of dollars, right? What's more scary, staying in a job or like someone making fun of your videos? Yeah, I love that. Mike, by the way, I did your power offer. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it just before the call. So
Awesome. Cool.
yeah, so I help women considering divorce get clarity and certainty about whether to stay or to go in 30 days or less. So that's the big our offer. The part for today that I'm confused or that I struggle with is in those messenger conversations.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to ask them questions so that I can get them, if my understanding is correct, you want to ask them questions so that then you have the opportunity to provide them with a piece of value where they say, oh, that person really knows what they're talking about, right?
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you can offer like, do you want to find out more? But you already have made the step where you gave something for free, you demonstrated competency, and so they have the clarity and
So you wanna try it? Let's try it, right? Let's role play. Okay. So what value bomb am I asking for?
So in this case is doing a self-assessment to understand what the real cost of indecision is on your daily life, because it has a huge impact being stuck in limbo. Should I stay or
Oh,
should I?
I don't even understand what that problem is. But see
Okay.
how like there's a lack of clarity. I wouldn't even know
Yeah.
to ask for that because I'm like, what the hell is that? Um,
Okay.
so maybe
So
maybe say it in like third grade language.
you're stuck in limbo. You don't know whether to stay or to go.
That's not solving a small problem. Like I think that's the big problem. What is a good value bomb? Like, so for instance, like what are the problems that are happening at home that makes the woman think that she needs a divorce?
I would say maybe a better value bomb is understand how to define exactly one of your needs so that you can communicate it clearly.
Let's go deeper. What does that mean? Like that's a whole bunch of words that I don't understand. Like, so I'll give you, yeah. So Christine just says like being ignored, right? So like a very specific problem is every time my husband walks through the door, he goes straight to the fridge, grabs a beer, props himself in front of the TV, and ignores me the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
What if lady is, if you just said something like 60% of husbands walk through the door, grab a beer, plop themselves in front of the TV, and they never talk to their wives. But ladies, what if I told you that what's written on this piece of paper are 3 words that if you said them as soon as he walked through the door, he would cancel his beer plans and spend the rest of the night with you? Would you want to see what's on this paper? Drop a line below this video. You see how that is something that would solve a very specific problem and get you into the conversation to figure out what's actually going on?
Okay. So what if I gave you a communication strategy so
No
that
one wants a communication strategy.
okay.
Do you see? Do you see how I like literally just like wrote something that was just very clear? I'm not saying that's what you do, but that's how clear it needs to be.
So tired of frustration because you don't know how to make your husband understand what you want?
That's so broad. What are you even saying?
That's
Right? Like,
okay.
what are you even saying? What do you want? What do you mean? What do I want?
Okay, so what you're saying is like fine, like so this micro scenes where they can identify themselves with.
So what is the scenario that's playing out in their home every day? That woman would be like, "Yep, this happens every single day."
Well, that's the thing. It depends. Not everybody wants to divorce for the same reasons, though.
But that's the point of power content, right? Remember, you're only writing one piece of content for that one person. You're not trying to write this piece of content for everyone in your audience.
Okay. The real problem that I solve is the indecision. It's not saving their relationship. It's knowing what to do, whether to
Okay.
start to go. So they have trouble focusing. They have trouble sleeping. So you wake up in the morning and there was one other sleepless night because you didn't know how to steer to go. Let me show you a trick.
So are they having sleepless nights because they know they want a divorce? Or are they trying to make the decision to have a divorce?
Most of the time it's because they want to do it, but they're afraid the consequences of a divorce are so big if you get it wrong that they're afraid of making a mistake they regret.
Okay.
So it's having the certainty that is the right decision.
What is your solution for that?
It's providing them with absolute certainty that it is the right decision in a way
That's not your solution. That's what happens because of your solution. What's your solution?
assessing their relationship in a way that they know whether they can work or not. Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, it's an assessment, right? No one wants an assessment. So what is the thing that would make someone say, I need this tool or I need this thing?
The real tool is understand how they make decisions that they feel good about naturally. That's really what it is.
It's too complicated though.
I
Like
know.
you're trying to solve too big of a problem, right?
So smaller problems is how to reduce the daily frustration while you figure it out.
The value bomb is solving the problem of this woman is going to bed every single night scared of, do I get a divorce or do I stay in this marriage? What is the thing, that quick win that you can give her that would help her not solve the entire problem, but give her some relief for that problem?
That's the challenge that I'm facing is that I don't have like a small, for you have like click-through rate on the ads, opt-in rate on the webinar, and you can go and fix those minute things. Mine takes like more work beforehand until you get a final result.
See, everyone says that, but it's the same amount of work. Like, you know how long it takes to optimize a webinar funnel? Like, it probably takes longer to optimize a webinar funnel.
Right, but you can deliver a very quick result saying, I will help you.
No, you can, I'll give you an example. One of my best clients does exactly what you do. And one of her best scripts is actually the same thing that I just told you guys a while ago, is a script that has like 3 words on it that literally will take them from the husband coming in through the door and then actually like taking her out on a date. That's like the first milestone in her entire framework, is like, you've had success with this value bomb when your husband asks you to go out on a date. And it's just like it's like conversation scripts that she can use anytime her husband walks through the door, but it's a small win, right? And so what is that? Like, someone had a good just said a love compass, the divorce assessment, know what you really, like something as simple as that. Like, hey, like, do you really want to go to bed tonight up for 3 hours when you should be sleeping, thinking about whether you should get a divorce? What if I told you this love compass within 3 minutes can tell you whether or not a divorce is a good idea or not. Drop a line below if you want it. You see how like much more clearer that was?
What about giving them a decision framework? Like they don't even know how to make a decision. It's like, I will show you exactly the decision protocol to make that decision, which obviously then will require help. But
I think you need to have more fun with your tools.
okay.
Your stuff is just like not like it. People don't want to do the work. So we have to bait them with something that sounds fun.
But it has to be a small win because what you're saying, the theme that I'm getting
Well,
here,
I mean,
like, try to solve a
a
problem.
small win could be an aha moment. Like it doesn't have to be something like that's something that's huge big. It could be something that's just like, ah,
Okay,
I
an
never thought
aha
of that
moment is
before.
that they think they can make a decision, but actually they cannot because their brain, the reptilian brain, keeps them frozen in terror.
See,
And
don't tell me none of that shit.
holy cow. Okay.
That's the stuff that you go deep on in your program, but you have to remember most of your audience, like they're scrolling on Facebook. Like we have to talk to our audience in like third grade language. Otherwise, our ads are just going to go over their heads because you have to remember people are scrolling, especially your women, they're scrolling up at like you literally could write ads like this. Like you're likely seeing this ad right now because you are scrolling endlessly, worried about whether or not, you should leave your husband or whatever. And, my clients are able to make this decision within 5 minutes after taking this quick love compass assessment or something. Like, I think you just need to think about like the specific scenarios. Like, what was the woman doing 5 minutes before she saw your ad or that video? Like, what was
Because
she doing?
I've run ads for webinars with the angle of getting clarity and certainty in 30 days or less, and it worked great. I mean, I had like very low CPCs.
Then why are you here trying to get help with ads?
Because then the webinar did not convert because of the math that you mentioned before. It was like too much money
Mhm.
spent to try to then refine the webinar.
Exactly. Because here's the thing. Yes, just because you get opt-ins for a webinar, if people don't buy, then you didn't attract the right person.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not picking on you,
Please
but
do.
I'm saying like that, but that's what a lot of people have this misconception. So I'll give you guys a direct example. I had a student, she was like, I am about to put all of my savings into this webinar. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that? It's stupid. But she had spent all of this money in a program, and she's like, I spent $5,000 just building this webinar. And she's like, I gotta do it. And she got really excited. And she was getting leads for like $2 a lead. And she had over 1,000 people register for this webinar. She's like, oh my God. And then I was like, huh, she might actually pull this off. 0 people bought her offer. And so that's why I try to look at data, right? Because if you look, that's a really great example of why I like to look at the numbers, because I think people get that false sense of, well, people opted in for this, but were they the right people? Maybe not, because they didn't make it to the end.
Or very expensively. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if things are expensive, then that means there's some messaging that's off. It didn't resonate with the content of the webinar, either didn't deliver on the promise, or it was just the wrong type of person that came in.
So to summarize, you want to offer something that they can immediately relate with, will give them a quick win to start that conversation, so then you can provide value. So it's like a
It's a fun, that's why I call it a fast funnel, right? Because it's a funnel. It's just a content, two-step, content, comment, messenger, conversation, phone call. So it's its own funnel.
Okay. Thank you, Laurel. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Stefan or Stefan. Stefan sounds more fun.
Steph, I know, right? It's Stefan though. Good stuff, especially the whole thing with content, whether it's paid or not, it's the same thing. So, so if our end goal is whatever we do, people have to get educated on it. So a VSL webinar, whatever you want to call it, they have to go through that. I don't have a problem getting doing messenger conversations, but if the end of the goal is, hey, I'd love to explain this to you, but you got to watch this. Like I could explain it to you a lot more over, 90 minutes. Like, what's kind of the call to action, or if we just want to get them to a VSL, but we need volume, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. Like as a matter of fact, I was just showing do you guys know Vince Reed? Everyone know Vince Reed here? He's VSL, huge internet marketer. He adopted my ecosystem for his clients. So if you have a VSL, right? And you already can see like how many leads you're losing, right? By like just like the biggest black hole happens right here, right? After people opt in, they don't move forward. If you can intercept a conversation with ads right here, you can literally solve a small problem and ask them a couple of questions and be like, well, I can solve that problem. As a matter of fact, I have a 20-minute video that walks you through how to solve that problem. Here it is. And then you could actually get them to watch it. But what the magic though about doing it this way is you can follow up and say, hey, did you watch that yet? Did you watch that yet? Hey, did you watch that yet? Right? And so that's why I love my, like, I basically just taught you guys the ecosystem that's just built around a funnel, right? Because a lot of times people think my ecosystem replaces a funnel, but it's built around the funnel. It doesn't replace it. And so
Okay.
what I'm teaching you guys how to do is create content that's going to eventually plug the holes of any funnel.
Gotcha. So we keep the funnel running as it is. We don't necessarily want to run ads to it, but we would have those
You leave
messenger
it. So if you here, I'll actually show you. Actually, I just had this up for a minute. There we go. So this is what it looks like, right? So you're here, right? So everyone's running something to some type of funnel, right? I just showed you guys the phase 1, which is the fast funnel, right? The value bomb ad to conversations, right? Phase 2 is a power offer ad, like straight up application. You're in phase 3, which is a VSL funnel, right? So everyone here is still running some type of funnel. That's not changing. That's not what my ecosystem is. My ecosystem is this L shape, right? Just think of it as Laurel. That's built around the funnel to plug all of the holes. So if people are coming in through a VSL funnel, they're going to get your boosted content. They're going to get this fast funnel, and they're going to get something that's called the Hot 7. All we're doing is simply plugging the holes of the VSL funnel. You're not doing anything different with your VSL funnel.
But what is my call to action in my power content and my
It's the same for
version?
it's the same for everyone.
Go to the VSL. Go watch the VSL.
No, power content has no
Okay.
call to action other than a value bomb.
Gotcha. So still do the value bombs and still do everything.
The only thing that has a call to action, a strong call to action, is this Hot 7 and your VSL ads. Everything else, this has value bomb, and this has whatever you want. Like if you want to, in your boosted content, ask people to watch your VSL, I would personally ask people to comment to watch a 20-minute training and not say it's a VSL.
Gotcha.
Is how I would do it.
So, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, so a VSL fits into the messenger conversation. The way that I like to do it, honestly, is get them to watch the VSL after they book the call. Like if you want to use a VSL, to me, that's the best way, is to get them to watch it when they confirm that they're going to show up for the call. Because it gives you an opportunity to have that touch point right before the call.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, you're very welcome. Tad, and then we'll wrap things up with Mr. Tad.
Hey, Laurel.
I'm
Hey,
almost out of my drink, so you know what that means.
so I had a question mostly about like the trying to get volume and traffic and things like that. And part of it is kind of coming from the Gary Vee stuff with like the micro audiences and really like having these like instead of just one target audience, having like the multiple target audiences.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So do you, and this is what I was just, I'm pretty sure that I'm understanding this, but like you're basically creating like that ecosystem, you're basically laying on a Xerox copier, but just redoing it for, audience A, audience B, audience C, audience D, right? Is that right? Or is it not quite right?
What do you mean?
So like, let's say that you're off, I mean, you pick any offer, it doesn't really matter, but you're like, you were talking about divorce before, like, so let's say one of your target audiences is, women between the ages of say like 45 and 55 that are in careers that, like those would be different relevant questions for, how do I handle this versus women who are say like 25 to 33 and just starting and have brand new like little kids and things like that, right? If you were to try to like create our traffic, wouldn't you map out like a whole separate sort of ecosystem for like option A and option B, like kind of like a hitting on like, because I think the pain points are a little bit different, right? The questions
Oh,
are a little
very
bit
different.
different.
Like, yeah, like someone who's a stay-at-home mom or early on in their career with kids is going to have different problems than someone who's climbing up the corporate ladder who has kids in college.
Yeah.
Completely different. And so, yeah, you wouldn't have different ecosystems because it's the same offer. You might segment your audience and this is why I love this is why I love video audiences, because you can easily segment your audience based on which pieces of content they're watching.
Okay. So segmenting like on like the ads end, or segmenting just kind of in terms of your conversations?
So segmenting on every level, right? Because the way that you're going to call them out and do content, you would have different pieces of content. So I'll give you an example. Like, you guys are a really great example, right? Some of you guys have a non-validated offer. Well, I have a piece of power content for people on how to validate an offer, but I also have 2 pieces of power content for people who want to solve the problem of their VSL funnel. And so whenever I'm pitching Lean on Laurel, I'll boost my posts to the people who watch those 2 videos. If I'm promoting the $7 program, I'll boost it to the beginners.
Okay. Okay. So just
So
basically like
that's how I segment my audience.
so okay, so it's basically different videos trigger different responses and like okay.
Mm-hmm. And you should
All right.
you should do that anyway, because that's how you're going to exploit those pockets of audiences, right? Because if I look at Russell Brunson's audience, there's 20, 30 different pockets of as Gary Vee would say, micro audiences, right? I could do 30 different pieces of power content, and I would exploit the hell out of Gary Vee's audience if I ran them as ads. Because, like, have you guys ever had the issue where you ran a Facebook ad and you're like, there's a million people in this audience. Why is this learning limited? Or why am I not I'm only reaching 20,000 of this 1 million audience? It's because Facebook optimizes based on content. That's why it's important we have different angles of content, because 1.2 million is not going to respond to that one piece of content. That's why we need different angles and different variations to exploit that whole audience pocket. That's honestly scale. Like, if you guys understand that concept, you understand scale more than a lot of these internet marketers who think scale is just adding more budget. The secret to true scale is adding variations on angles that are working. That is the secret to scaling, not just keeping to raise the budget. And that's where so many people run into problems with Facebook ads. They just raise the budget. It's like, no, like, there's only a certain pocket of people that are going to see that ad. Variations and angles is true scale.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Very welcome. Man, I threw a lot at you guys today. Does everyone is everyone leaving with at least one new takeaway that they didn't know before? Or did anyone just get bored and be like, I already knew all this shit? Awesome. Cool. Awesome. I love reading y'all's comments. Y'all are so funny. I love y'all so much. Awesome. Well, you guys have an amazing rest of the week. I am off to Phoenix. Nick and I are having an event in Phoenix. I don't think anyone on this call is coming, but you guys should come out to more events.
Yes, and Marie's coming.
Oh yeah,
Anne
Marie's gonna be there. I forget. Yeah. Anne Marie loves me so much. She even joined Nick and I's mastermind success circle.
Yes, I feel so blessed to have you in my life. Oh my God.
Anne Marie was at my last event. Anne Marie actually got to taste you tasted my wine, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
How many of you guys knew I have a wine brand that we just launched not too long ago? Anne Marie got to taste all 3 of them. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they make great gifts for the holidays.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can hook you up with some, because I know you wanted to get one for a gift for someone.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome. Well, Anne Marie, I will see you tomorrow, and I'll see the rest of you guys in the Facebook group. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.